Rebirth. Long journey of the soul. The music is barely here. Can't hear it, yet it's there. Beautiful, beautiful music guides us, takes us within. You are unique. You are precious. Only you could see. My story. I remember when I was a very small child. And you hear about the devil. And of course, what a bad guy he was. So I said, to beat him up, bring him on. I'll take care of it. I was a very small child, obviously with big ambitions. Um, so there was this, in cult, this teaching that traditional in that time about all coming from the Bible. Heard about Solomon. My gift, is this, I want to be wise. Yeah. Yeah, I guess wisdom is just finding out what a fool you are, accepting it and moving on, doing your best. But that was my prayer. And later on, it's, you hear about ESP and all of those things. I wanted that power. Didn't realize that thirst for power has some problems, especially when you're messing with things you probably shouldn't. But yeah, it took me down a dark street, kind of interesting. Example, I tried to send sounds. A cousin of mine, far away. And I began by saying, like, where is he? Or what's going on? I'm going, he's alone. Rappings at the doors and windows. He's under the bed, terrified. Let it go. Found out later that he was all alone in his home. And as I saw. Um, they're surmised in my brain that he was under the bed. Well, he was. Didn't think much of that. Nowadays, I have to go, well, to explain that away. Easily. Well, in another case where I was traveling from Tennessee to Michigan again, and there was a girl that I really sweet on. She was my first. I was in love with her. So as I traveled up north, car, I called out and says, "Bring her to me." So right away, I guess I thought I was dealing with some kind of spirits or something. But yeah, my folks had moved. Their phone number had changed. It had been, a couple of years. I'd been out roaming. Uh, get a phone call right away. Got there to my folks' house. And it seems that she just wanted to be friends, and I wanted more. And so she starts to make fun of me and so on. She was a bad girl, had an alcohol problem, stole my bicycle. First time I was with her. Okay. So, yeah, her boyfriend was there, and he's all threatening. And she derides me and says, he knew I was into ESP. Well, why don't you, he's threatening me, calling me out, and all this. She says, why don't you use your ESP? I said, hung up the phone. I said, I will. So I called out and to my board of directors. And so I said, where is he? What's going on? And they came back to me. He's about to stab himself. And together with my comrades, said, go ahead, you won't die. I found out that he had. And called him back. And I questioned, should he live or shall he die? And a very stern presence seemed to come into my consciousness that blew away my board of directors altogether. The message was, you have nothing to say about this. Whoa, who's that? Well, some say maybe it was God. Again, not just crazy. What is this? Well, anyway. In the meantime, then I'd also traveled around the country. joined the Sufis and different cults. Very interested in what today I guess I'd call mysticism. I was interested in all of these things and tried, various religions, Christian and Sufis, Sufi Islam, and Pure Land Zen Buddhism. And I would have these experiences that seemed to me, I was getting what the feeling was with those approaches. But I would always ask myself the question: a better person? And the answer was no. So I said, wow, this is not it. It's great, good experience. I don't think it made me a better person. Well, I'll tell you how I met the Honorable Venerable Dr. Thich Nhat Hanh. I was traveling, hitchhiking, and was picked up by the evil Chinese spy guy. He was Hawaii Five-O. And his name was something Smith, I believe, in the real, Anglo terms. But they called him Kai Di at the Buddhist temple. Anyway, this big guy, he's a big guy. Hopefully he still is. Picked me up in a very tiny car, little car, big guy, and takes me to he says, well, where are you going? And I says, well, I wanted to check out Buddhism. He says, well, my best friend is Buddhist. He's the abbot of this monastery. I'll take you there. Thank you. Do you mind if I stop at my office? No. He takes me to the office. There was all this paraphernalia around. So I'm looking at it and I said, wow. Don't say anything, right? He said to me, you have questions? I said, yeah. What religion? And he said, I'm a Taoist. It really gruff. I said, all right. And he looked at me again because I was still looking at all this stuff. Do you have more questions? And I said, yeah, what is a Taoist worship? And he leans over this desk at me and says, Taoist worships nothing. I said, oh my God, I guess a crazy person is picking me up, but oh, God knows what's going to happen to me now. But no, he was cool after that, and took me to the depot, and I sat down at a table. The Honorable Venerable Dr. Tiktiana comes in, sits across from me, and says, "What did he say to you?" And it just bounced out of me, you know. It, 19 or 20. I was like, wow. It just bounced out of me, you know. Taoist worships nothing. And, you know, he just starts laughing. Tell my friends. They were good friends for a short time, my teacher. He was a cool dude. He would seem to just show up out of nowhere and give you a lesson. You know, there he is. Be like a few words, you know. One of them was maybe look in a mirror. And, you know, I say this because all of these things that I learned, this realization of no self, realization of Vaishnava, Hinduism, higher self, all of this kind of was leading me to other things. So you say, I'm going to keep listening to this whole time. Well, I hope you do. I've got something to tell you. It's not urgent. Yeah. It's give me an example. I was meditating through the night. This is a guy that go to bed really early, get up really early, and it was like past midnight. And he walks by me meditating, doing what they call kinhin, walking meditation that they taught there. And he walked by, turned and smiled, then turned and continued his walk. Yeah, he was a great guy. Yeah, I think he kind of believed in me in some way. When I left, I was just going to hitchhike my way on out. Oh, goodbye. Got to the gate, and there he was. He says, "Will you take the Buddha with you?" I said, "Well, I was raised Christian, but I'll take the Dharma." And he goes, "Good, you take the Dharma." And he left. Really wonderful, wonderful guy. Anyway, long after that, you know, experiences in the Krishna religion, in the Vaishnava group. I won't go into details. But that was quite something. Yeah, I met Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Yeah, I met him, the leader of the Hare Krishnas, and he gave us, again, a group, a lesson about humility. and the greatness of Krishna, who's God, right? So and it was really strange because I had this warm feeling, and it was brought tears to my eyes. It was just felt so humbled. Then after that, whatever practices they were doing, I felt that come over me. It was a unique experience. Anyway, I was serving in that religious capacity. Not something I would recommend because they don't. You work for religious organizations and they don't pay into your Social Security, you know, and sometimes, most time, they don't pay anything. Working for them, but so I ran into the spirit program, and so called out for help. I wanted to get in touch, and they told us that we spoke with love, it was prophetic. We had faith, and maybe Jesus would come through. Weird thing is that a feeling of love, kind of like what they talk about within DE experiences, this amazing love. I'd be willing to feel like I'd be willing to suffer greatly or die. Personal message was going to, and then words would come through me. You're inspired to say, I am the Lord. I've always been with you. And then something in detail about what happened to the person in their life would be given. And this was the general pattern. Come through. You feel crazy, but it would come through. And because of this, I want you to know I was with you then. Because of this, you have this blessing today, this gift. And it was always confirmed by the person and other people. And I've always been a doubting Thomas about everything. So, did I know anybody who knew this person? Did anybody I know? Did I talk with them? And I couldn't figure out how I would know in detail some of these things. Again, odd things that happen in NDEs. Once I was practicing, the way one person praying, I always feel a pull. What's going on? He says, I think we should try to hear the Lord. Oh, all right. I thought that when 2 or 3 are gathered together, there he is. So, why can't he talk to us? So I started saying, hearing things, right mood, right? Startling or different. I like that. I don't like hearing anything. It's like your brain is telling you there's a knock. I don't know. But I was aware of it. And in my mind, I said, that you, Lord? And then it came to me, tell him this. And I said, well, I thought I was, you know. No, tell him this. You were 3 years old, reached up to that cabinet, some kind of sweet thing. I think he remembers. But yeah, it was then that I showed you my glory. Just really wacko. Where is this left field? What is this? And he ran away. Ran out of the room, out of the apartment away. I said, oh, this was wrong. Evidently, it was just so crazy that, you know, he just left. I said, I'm never doing this again. And come back, and he never told a soul. But when he reached up for that cookie or whatever it was, beautiful colors. He saw a vision of beautiful colors coming out of that cabinet. And guess what? His gift, he's a great painter. So, okay. That's a kind of, again, you could kind of talk your way out of it. But isn't it odd? And then, well, I asked, you know, at one time, you gotta ask, you know, does this prove anything? And it just came back, no, no doubt. I just wanted you to get to know me. Who are you anyway? But it's just a very loving presence, and you know, it's like certainly not me or how I saw myself. I thought I'd ditched all of that. You know, I'm not believing anything without evidence. You know, this is too crazy for me. Um, and again, it came to me, this presence saying, um, your ex-wife is close to death. What will you do about it? Why? Why? What do you mean? You know, I said, oh, I guess I'll pray. Maybe it's pray. Anyway, I prayed. I said, okay, I'll play. What's the situation? Well, there's something wrong with her and killing her, and nobody knows. Well, I said, well, does she have a friend? And I saw like a sense of a lady. I said, well, I had this friend um, see this and warn her, and faded away. 2 weeks later, then son comes to see me, and he says, Mom almost died. I said, yeah, well, what happened? And he said, well, it turns out she had an infected kidney stone. It was her friend. She had a friend who noticed something was wrong, and it saved her. So again, you can argue this away. It's nothing, but isn't it odd? You know, so In between that time, on my way to ditching religious belief, I became annoyed because, for instance, two other young guys came over to me, and I was leaders, I guess, in that thing, came over to me and said, we're going to seek the Lord, you know. I says, well, that's great, you know, where two or three are gathered, you know, you got this. And that's what it says. So, they, you know, they said, you have, you don't understand. I said, what isn't, I don't understand. I said, well, you have to be there. And I said, why do I have to be? And then they go, we want to know what God said. I'm, oh my. I said, it don't work like that. And so, you know, went down to the basement of this place, and I prayed, and I said, you know, I'm not perfect enough. You know, you can't put me in the spot. In the beginning, your messages were from whoever was about people standing on their own, going direct to you. Now, how's that working out? You know, this is not working out. And so it came, and the voice, whatever you want to call it. You don't hear voices, but it's like that. It said, it said, well, he said, tell him this. And he gave me three different dialogues that you could say out loud. Kind of using your imagination, talking. So, isn't that leaving you out? You're just asking them to go around the corner. Yeah. So I was happy with that. He said, you keep studying. Do that. All of the things I'd learned before came into play when I did deeper studies of these three dialogues. And it became an entire philosophy. And that's a big statement. I'm not saying I'm Plato. Little movie. Anyway, my vocabulary is low. Anyhow, this was the beginning, new journey. One of the people who practiced, one of the early forms, came to see myself and another major leader to Texas. And he said it was just like the prophecies. And he would do it. He was hearing for himself. Yeah, and by the way, when he entered into, started kind of following the Christian faith, he was sitting and one of my friends was playing the other major guy. He was playing the guitar, And it came over me. Said, why, he was asking why he should join up. And I'm trying to do this quickly. Got to be bored by now. Anyway, but he, it started saying there was someone who you followed and listened to, and you stepped literally into his footprints. And I'm going to, and it was like something like, I'm going to speak in this way so you will know. And I was unaware that my voice changed or anything, but everybody in the room said it changed. And he claimed that it was the sound of his grandfather. And he had it literally, as a child, stepped in footprints of his grandfather. He was very attached to his grandfather. Another thing that happened, I guess I should say, was this elderly lady who had a boyfriend. He was basically, at that time, he was a but we had this thing called inner healing, where we prayer for the healing of memories. Wanted me to do it. I went over and listened, and it came through, and asked her, I want you to go back to the age of 6. And then there was a pause. And then it came, you went to the age of 12. Something very important happened to you then. But I asked you to go back to the age of 6. In the midst of that, she says, I was saved then. She was very impressed. It doesn't take much to impress people sometimes. But her boyfriend, she said, do that for him. And I said, wow, right? So he saw rolling hills, just rolling, not mountains, and just rolling. And there was a well like I'd never seen before. It didn't have a wall. It was just flat. And as this is when you were 6 years old, it came, and the message was, you were 6 years old. This is when you were there in that situation, and he goes, well, never happened. Never happened. I'm going, oh boy, here we go. You can imagine it. What a fool you feel like. And she goes, but think, she tells him. And he says, well, that was when I was 6 years old. And she said, well, that's what he said. And then it came, remember, this is memories of memories. Who knows, maybe it was even less impressive. Anyway, so I said, I said, it's confusing, no? Was he had figured out a way to get water from the well that's kind of special. And ever since then, uh, he's been known as the fix-it guy in his family. And she says, "Oh, that's so true." And should he, you know, accept, the rigmarole. And what I, uh, what I, what came through me in the most warm, caring, accepting tones was, yes, it would be good if he could get to know me a little more, because he he, he did, he's coming home. So how long after that? I don't know. You think, oh, you got to be a Christian. I I couldn't, what I but that those dialogues and that philosophy teaching, that was so impressive, and it seemed to include everything that I had studied. Because I was studying, put everything together. Uh, Actually, the three dialogues that's covered were actually exercises in empathy. Three different perspectives: creative, passionate, artful, artistic. I'm old, okay? Art is the virtue attached to that. Creative, empathy, right? Voice, and artfulness is, how you appreciate life, yourself, and others. Getting good at that. And of course, compassion is the root of goodness, and objective empathy is at the root of truth. And faith, faith is what you need to relate to these perspectives. That's what I call the kid in you, part of you that experiences it wrong. Now, Vaishnavism, you hear about the watcher. That's that's the part of you that is creative, artful, and that can create things for you. Heard of guided meditation? You can do your own. Okay? And actually, that's something that Ruth Carter Stapleton, Jim Carter's sister, did. Her practice of healing of the memories when she lived in Bartonville, Texas. He visited her. She was an amazing, warm, caring person, as you might expect. So that, yeah, and that's one of the things you do when you practice that, right? What she did. But she focused, and most of psychology is focused on trauma. If it hurts, it's going to come up. It's about love, not about trauma. Love is compassion is what helps you to feel what really happened to you. Helps you to, all of these things help you to unlearn helplessness. And especially the compassion that's that biggest damaged faith and love kind of helplessness. The healing of the memories kind of thing. Well, that compassion draws out that capacity to feel what you once could not, to do what you once could not, say what you once could not, but needed to. Your real needs. Part of the internal Maya have is that the brain creates symbolic need and symbolic circumstances of that, of what happened to you, in order to lower the anxiety and to preserve your life, keep you going. But that's also that damaged faith and love is what creates symbolic need which can't be fulfilled. You never can have real satiation. You just want more and more and more. That's greed. And Jesus said, that's money, or the symbolic need, is the root of all evil. So these three kinds of dialogues between yourself and your counselor, self and passion, self and the higher self, and the artist. There's unique practices dialogues that I perhaps a few out there still teach. Yeah, that works. And there's also what connects to mindfulness. Some of these other ego. Love is ego transcendent. And so is getting in touch with the flow of love needs being met by love, and then creating the urge to love, and kind of mirroring, love being mirrored back and forth. This is love flow. And that happened, so let's back up. You can have trauma that happens to you before you have language. Zen and mindfulness and these sort of things get in touch with what really happened to you, triggers it. So what happened to you in the past before you had words. And so, getting in touch with that, you go to the Vedas, the three basic yogas, which basically meditation, or the mindfulness that you're hearing about, dhyana yoga, and there's prana yoga that gets you in touch with your feelings. And mantra yoga. Get you in touch with sound, connection with sound. So, use of sound and focus and expression related to your needs and feelings is part of the love flow, which is part of the journey toward virtue. Um, these things evolved when you became a language person, more socialized into the forms of empathy. Ability to express, well, that need to express created in society affection, which is that ability to create a sense of safety for someone to feel what happened to them. When a girl skins her knee, she doesn't cry right away. And then she sees mama, runs over, holds her knee, and cries. And mama gives her a solution. Yeah, and she goes basically through all of the things that I mentioned. What? Oh, that's so bad. So she gives her the passion, empathy, and she goes, but you've skinned the other knee before. That is objective. And then she says, well, hey, you kind of fell and it was kind of funny, right? Did you fall like this? Did you fall like that? She makes clownish kind of fall. Or else she just goes, let's go get ice cream. Picture. So she just used the creative. Yes, humor is part of that. So, all of these things are very important. Very important to learn these things from people who have experienced it. This is at the real heart of mysticism. It's about experience, not belief. So if you're spiritual, not religious, your ears should be open. You don't need a religious religion. You need the real thing. That's what mysticism is really supposed to be about. Being spiritual, but not religious. That's about experience rather than belief. Why not? The experience, as the Buddhists say, come and see. So, I hope that you do that. There is a website that I am not a great one. I'm not a great speaker with you, but it's Inner Mind Communication. You can go there, check it out, and I hope wherever you are, wherever you are, you will find yourself, others, love that is fully embraced. And you can have this without. Okay? Those are remarkable. Much of which of these things, you can explain them away. Why not take the journey? Want to see what there is to see. and come to your own conclusion. I hope there are more churches that form like this. Just ask you to go up to the mountain instead of telling you what it looks like from up there and asking you to believe it. But what they saw, just show them how to get up the mountain. Why? So they can see for themselves. Anyway, I like to end what I my spiels with the word namaste, which is all that wonder, ego transcendence, gift of heaven that lives in me, that in you too. We're all deserving love too. Keep the love flow going. You'll be all right. Be just fine. That's my personal opinion. And I hope you have a really great day. And I guess that's it. Namaste.